And it does make a suggestion that it would incrementally help to address the ice management issues in the Osago Cut by investing this. It does, I have a report in front of me. And so that was my understanding, is that it was going to be incrementally helping to address the ice management issues, which gave me confidence that you're going to be moving forward.
Director of Community Services would like to comment.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, and just to clarify, that report wasn't from the Harbor Committee, that was a report from staff presenting the Harbor Committee's recommendation. Although I am a staff member assigned to the Harbor Committee to provide them with assistance, when I come to council, I have to wear the corporation so that report as my role as the Director of Community Services for all of the municipality.
Yeah, the wording exactly says, adoption of the Harbor Committee's recommended river maintenance proposal could present an opportunity to incrementally implement the objectives of the ice management work plan. So those are the words, and I relied on those words.
Yep. And through you, Mr. Mayor, those were the words of your Director of Community Services providing his technical and staff advice to you. That was not the words of the Harbor Committee.
That's fine, I'm sorry, to the Harbor Committee, but the words still stand as presented to us.
I apologize, I didn't mean to get an ordinance with the Harbor Committee. I just like you to think the chair. I should have said the word 7 council, so my fault. In number 3, option number 3, it says proceed with ice management and direct a new cost sharing study to be developed with a redefined benefit. Is that something worth exploring? I'm thinking local improvement. Is that where we're at there? Is that what we're thinking? Number 3, benefiting properties. Is that the idea?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, you would have to redefine what council wanted to see as what a benefiting property is. In the current model, the definition of a benefiting property is any property that falls within the floodplain. So what we were, conceptually, you could pick any number of things. You could see properties directly fronting the river, properties within 100 meters of the river, and you can go on and on. So when we put this forward, we're saying if council wanted to choose this, we would have to reconsider what, as a municipality, we wanted to consider what a benefiting property was.
Yeah, I guess through you to Brent, I guess Brent, this is mine. There's a little bit of, I think there's still some numbers that need to be worked on. I get the 4 options, but I'm still looking at, I don't know the number of directly benefiting properties within the area, and of course, does that mean properties that are in the north end as well? Would they be a direct benefiting property in the Grand Bend area? I don't know. But I think we need a little more work on 3. Might help us a little more getting towards that decision. Because truthfully, and I've had people say this, well, you have a property and it has an assessed value, and you pay an extra $300 or $400. Is that what you would pay for insurance if you flooded? So I mean, there's some benefit to the properties that are going to actually gain from this, as opposed to someone living in a landlocked area in Thetford or Kona having to pay $300 in taxes. So. I think number 3, I would see a little more work on number 3.
Councilor Underwood.
I'm interested in number 2, but keeping in mind if we're going to be proceeding with ice management, spread the costs across the entire municipality, there are other projects that we have on the go as well that may also require the same treatment, sewage treatment plants, or any major project that we're going to be doing. We do it for roads now and infrastructure. We pay one cost across the municipality for the maintenance of that. We do it for arenas, we do it for all sorts of things like our infrastructure. Yet we don't do it for sewage treatment plants, which I believe maybe might be time to do. And if we're going to do something that is going to affect the entire area for a permanent kind of solution, maybe we'd be open to be doing that. I'm interested in B, on 2B actually. Project costs will be spread equally amongst all properties in the municipality as a special levy. In this approach, the total project cost will be divided by the total number of properties in the municipality, such that each property owner pays the same cost per unit. It's a good idea, but if we're going to do that, maybe we should consider doing something like that for all our major projects, and we can find out how much that is and what that would affect us next year. I'd be interested in that.
Councilor Cook.
Well, I guess if we're looking at our favorite options, I would have to go with 4, just because we don't know if that number is even big enough. 831,000. That just might be in the ice jam flavor, the tip of the iceberg. We could just be starting it now. Is that going to put enough stop-gate measures in there for 20 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, who knows? So are we opening up a whole can of worms here again that we do not need to open up? I'm nothing against safety, I want everyone to be safe, but I have no idea. Is that number even there? That's a reasonable number? Who knows? It's not a sewage treatment plant with the exact number of people we get done to attend it. And how many times we go back to revisit this, I don't know.
Still looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Off to the board. Do you have a seconder? Any seconder? Okay. I'm looking for a motion. Either table it, defer it, push it down the road, kick it down the road a little farther. Councilor Underwood.
I make a motion for 2B.
Do you have a seconder for that?
I'll second or not to be.
Okay. So 2B, the project cost, is that the project, the entire project or the half project? What is the project?
Bring that cost.
So on page 162, the value of work at 100,000 or 831,000, what that would be. Councilor Russell.
To be spread out over years.
Officer, Councilor Russell.
Yeah, and not to say anything, Brent, against engineers, but going backwards to what the deputy mayor said earlier, I'll second that motion, by the way. The incrementalism is a great idea. Personally, when they came back with the project, with the size of it and everything, you know, it was almost a given it was going to be unless it was bought by the local people, it was going to be a turn down by this. Councilor Cook just talked to the issue. This is a real issue. We have so much asset that has to be dealt with. But I think if we're looking at 2B, right, if we're looking at it, we should be looking at it with not just with the 831, which is a figure that we don't really know. We were told by different engineers, and it could change, it could go up, it could go down, it could increase incrementally, it could go way up. I think we should look at it with a different set of eyes, take a look at it as a project, as what the project is, and then look at it with a 10-year view, right? If we could do it incrementally. I don't know. What they said was one full project, and that was it, right? But we do know one thing from the engineers. Alec did say to us, Alex Scott said, that in one good year of ice going out, it could do 2 years of work, right? He said that. On the other hand, if you had a really bad year, it could do the opposite thing. So I'm just saying, if we look at it with a different set of eyes, and suddenly this project is a $200,000 a year project, and we do it incrementally in every second year, just another thought.
Councilor Day.
Yes, it's been 7 months since we actually looked at the project really carefully back in September, and we had the public meeting. And it would be helpful for us to see exactly what we're doing with the 831 and to be sure that we're doing things well. I know from that meeting it was really clear that there was a lot of hot and mad people about who had determined that they were not benefiting because they were not in the floodplain, even though they got a letter. They didn't want to have anything to do with it at all. So trying to define benefit is going to be just a hornet's nest, I think. I think we can't go there. But I also know this thing about shifting sand is that it's just going to fill back in. We could spend $831, and the next year, for some reason, it's all back in. So to me, it doesn't really make sense to spend massive amounts of money when we can just keep plugging away at the bad spots at a smaller amount. So we have no assurance of the $831 that we're addressing the issue in more than 1 year. And I think that's not wise investment.
Councilor Scott.
Yeah. Okay, this is a toughie because it's been sitting around for 11 years and nothing major has been done. I think